Check, check.
Kathy Lively. Kathy Lively. Kathy. Unbelievable. Good evening, everybody. Hello, hello, good evening. Welcome to our students and our parents and everyone in between. Good evening, welcome to this evening's meeting of the Board of Education. I would like to start by explaining the format of tonight's meeting. Of course, the Board of Education provides two opportunities for you to express your ideas and share your thoughts. The first will be after we receive an update from our superintendent, Mr. Defendini. The second will be after our meeting has concluded. Both sessions will be 30 minutes in duration, and all speakers will be limited to 3 minutes to give as many people in our community a chance to speak as possible. Please approach any one of the microphones in the front of the auditorium. Of course, you'd have to state your name prior to beginning your comments so that the district clerk can accurately reflect the minutes of tonight's meeting. You will see the countdown calendar, or the countdown clock, to my right, your left, on the television screen. You must be stationed at a microphone to express your ideas and share your thoughts with the board. The Board of Education respects the varied opinions of the community and will provide a comfortable and safe environment. Any behaviors that threaten the integrity of tonight's meeting will not be tolerated and will cause the Board of Education to adjourn the meeting. Complaints or challenges should follow procedures listed under policies 1400, 1410, and/or 1440, which are included on the materials table. I thank everyone for their anticipated courtesy and cooperation. In the event of fire, and/or if you hear the fire bell, you must leave the building. The first 10 rows in the auditorium should use the exit to my left. Those in the back of this auditorium should use the rear doors and exit the building to the left. Now I ask that we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is that what we want? Mr. Defendini, can we have your monthly update, please?
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Morales. We have, yes, I do remember your name. Just getting into the actual topic of discussion. A couple things, that are obviously in the works for us here in Farmingdale schools. As crazy as it is, the April break is upon us. Obviously, tomorrow's the last day of school. We're out Thursday through the following Friday. You could cheer. You could cheer. There you go. That was for our students, not our teachers. That was, and as crazy as it is, we come back and it really becomes sort of like the march to the end of the school year. A lot of the different kinds of year-end events are already well in planning. Graduation, the moving up ceremonies, the award ceremonies. We're really entering a very exciting time of the year. So the one thing I did want to mention that's it's going to be our last year is our ability to host the Special Olympics. This is our second year that we're able to actually play host to the Special Olympics. It will be our last year. We are turning over the torch to Plain Edge Schools, who's going to be picking up the responsibility of hosting the Special Olympics next year. We're actually hosting them at a meeting tomorrow just to kind of start to talk to them a little bit about what goes into getting the event going. Speaking about that, though, we are still in need of volunteers. So I do want to put that out there to anybody in the audience tonight, anybody that might be listening at home. We are good with regard to the number of people that we have in the Special Olympic Village. Remember, the village is the place where our athletes can congregate and can be a part of all sorts of different types of interactive activities, and our community businesses can connect with our students and can display their brand. That we seem to be in pretty good order with, but we are in need of some more volunteers. We're going to push out one more time over the course of the next couple of weeks the volunteer form. I would ask anybody out there that is eligible, 14 years or older, to put in for the Special Olympics. We're about halfway to our target, and we do need some more people to step up. I have no doubt between now and then we'll get there, but just a little note to make sure that we get there. The event is scheduled for May 6th. We expect people to start congregating at about 9 o'clock. The actual kickoff starts at 9:30, where we welcome in the athletes with the celebration and the parade, followed by the lighting of the torch, and then the actual games themselves, which concluded around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So very excited this year. Our aquatic center is open for competition now. Last year, if you remember, the athletes had to travel to the high school in order to compete. We will actually be able to have them here at the middle school. We're also going to have the weightlifting here at the middle school as well. So there's really no reason to go to the high school. The only event that will be off district property will be tennis. That'll be held over at Allen Park. But outside of that, the rest of the event will actually be on our campus here at Howard. So very excited. The committee's done a tremendous amount of work to plan and make this year's celebration even better than last year. Just excited to get going. May 6th can't come soon enough. The last piece that I wanted to mention is Mr. Motisi is going to deliver the final presentation tonight to the Board of Education. It's been a process over the course of the last several months, getting the budget to final form. At the end of this evening's meeting, the Board of Education will have an opportunity to act on the district's recommendation with regard to the 23-24 budget. Again, Mr. Motisi will provide you with the highlights of where we came through and things that we talked about during the process. And we are going to be as transparent as we can, answering questions, getting out into the community, presenting to as many groups as possible during the part of the process. We do want this to be when people come to the make a decision, in May, that they know what it is that they're voting on. So we're going to work very hard between the date in which you adopt the budget and the date in which the actual budget vote happens to make sure that people have good information on hand to make a good decision. Any questions from the board? Okay, I'm going to ask members of the Board of Education, as part of our Celebrating Excellence, to, I guess, join us at the front of the stage. We have a couple of unbelievable people to recognize. So if everyone could just give us a couple of minutes to resituate ourselves, we're going to get going on recognizing all the wonderful boys and girls and staff members in the audience that have done great things, including my friend, Mr. Wonka, sitting right in the front row. Love the costume. You look fantastic, my friend. Just have to get the screen on. Just give us a couple more minutes. Leave it. Leave it on the ground. Put it back there. Nope, you're good. Okay, so we're going to get started. The first group that we're going to be recognizing tonight are some tremendous students from Farmingdale High School that are representing DECA. Over 40 Farmingdale High School DECA students traveled to Rochester in March to compete in the New York State Career Conference. They attended leadership workshops and networked with over 2,400 students from around New York State. Students competed in events such as individual role play, a team role play event, and presentation events. 9 of our DECA students placed in the top 10 in various events, and 1 student placed first in her event. Students were accompanied by their DECA advisors, who are business teachers at the high school, Ms. Donna Wright and Ms. Jacqueline Tenazzo. Their work reflects the contributions of the other business teachers, 2 of whom who are also here tonight, Ms. Stacy Cabrera and Mr. Jonas Vick. I'd like to welcome up Ms. Wright, Ms. Tenazzo, Ms. Cabrera, and Mr. Vick to the stage to invite up the students from DECA. I'd also like to recognize and welcome up Ms. Marissa Bell, our Director of CTE here in Farmingdale Schools. Welcome.
Unfortunately, some of the teachers could not be here this evening, so Ms. Donna Wright and Ms. Cabrera and Mr. Vick were unable to attend, but my pleasure to introduce Ms. Jacqueline Tenazzo, who is the advisor and one of the business teachers at the high school. These students spent a lot of time preparing for this seminal event, and we're really excited to be able to be here tonight to celebrate with them.
All right, I want to say I'm really proud of everybody in DECA for their participation at the State Career Conference. So I'm going to announce the students who are here to please come up and receive their recognition. So we have Dean Chang. He placed in the top 10 of multiple categories for financial consulting. Olivia Asensio and Ariana Grant placed in the top 10 for a financial services team event. Anthony Cheravino and Brian Stabile, they placed in the top 10 for both the role play and overall as a business law and ethics team. Unable to be here were Peter Fernandez, who also placed in the top 10 in financial consulting, Brendan Giganti, who placed in the top 10 in personal financial literacy, and a very special recognition to Yusra Mir, who was the overall first place winner in the retail merchandising event in New York State. She's going to be traveling to Orlando in a few weeks to compete at the national level in the International Career Development Conference. We're so proud of her. Thank you.
Congratulations. We're now going to recognize Farmingdale High School's mock legislation team. Farmingdale High School students, accompanied by social studies teachers Ms. Lauren Compitello and Mr. Paul Phelan, attended the YMCA's Youth and Government Mock Legislative Weekend in Albany from Friday, March 24th to Sunday, March 26th. The students have been diligently working on a mock legislative bill to address the issue of mental health counseling in schools, and they presented their bill to 500 students from across New York State during the legislative weekend. After a rigorous legislative session, their bill passed, with the majority of the assembly votes from the youth legislature. Youth in government has been a vital part of the YMCA since the 1950s. For decades, students have attended the mock legislative sessions every spring and walked away with a deeper understanding, appreciation, and interest in our democratic process. I'd now like to welcome up Ms. Lauren Compitello and Mr. Paul Phelan.
Thank you, everybody, and I want to extend my sincerest thanks to the Board of Education, Central Administration, and Building Administration for supporting our class, Youth in Government, in its first year and our first trip up to Albany. So our students, we are so proud of them. They successfully argued their bill, debated in subcommittees, got the full experience of having their bill vetoed overnight by the governor, only to have to defend it the next morning on Sunday and for it to actually overdo the veto and actually become law in the eyes of the mock legislative session for Youth in Government. Tonight in attendance, we only have one of the team members. We had a small group going up to Albany this year, so I would like to recognize Miss Evelyn Alarcon, who achieved an outstanding success up in Albany a few weekends ago. So come on up, Evelyn. And not in attendance tonight, but also worth a very special mention, other members of Evelyn's team, Arwa Navid, Alexa Pangarelius, and Alyssa Chemetsky. Thank you.
I'd now like to recognize several of our Farmingdale High School art students. For those of you that might not be fully aware, here in Farmingdale we have an absolutely outstanding fine arts department. A lot of the times the performing arts department, because of the concerts, get a lot of notoriety, but there is no doubt the level of artistic quality that exists in this district is absolutely profound. I am very proud to say that a vast number of pieces from Ms. Steffen's program and other teachers throughout the district have graced my walls over the years. The kind of work that's done and the quality of the artistic work that's created here in Farmingdale is absolutely second to none. I couldn't be any more proud of our teachers and our students who participate. Tonight, we are here to recognize two students. The Atelier at Flower Fields hosted its second annual Art Student Invitational. The exhibition encourages the work of middle and high school art students to portray their work in the visual arts arena. Two students from an AP level art class, from Kara Martin's class, were honored with any number of awards. Is Gabrielle Marciana in the audience tonight? Come on up, Gabriella.
Hi, everyone. So Kira had two oil on canvas paintings selected for the exhibition. Amazed was chosen as a staff choice and was awarded first place. The tools for expression was used on several pieces of the Atelier's event media. And Amaya Johnson also had two oil on canvas paintings featured, Freeze and her staff choice piece, What's Our Worth. Congrats to both of them, and we're all just very proud to have them representing our art department. Yeah. So if we can welcome Amaya Johnson and Kira Moscoso up to the stage.
One more round of applause for Maya, Kira, and Miss Marciana for stepping in tonight. Thank you so much. Congratulations. On March 17th and 18th, Playcrafters performed their spring play, The Birds, a Modern Adaptation, directed by Mr. Glenn Beck and designed by Miss Jamie Capasso. This production marked the return of the theater in the round style seating on stage. It also provided another opportunity to challenge the students with a difficult but educational experience by allowing them to explore another type of comedy, satire. Additionally, students had to explore a piece that has its roots in ancient Greek comedy, complete with a chorus of anthropomorphic birds. It was a great acting opportunity in the fact that these kids could get up there and play a bird. There is nothing you can't do after you've actually performed as a bird. The show was a great success with 2 sold-out shows and a packed matinee. I'd like to welcome up Mr. Glenn Beck to call up his students, please.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so we had a relatively large cast. It's a straight show, but it had about a cast of 28 plus crew probably about 50. So luckily for you, I'm not calling everybody up. We just have a select few who are going to come up here. The first student I'd like to bring up, out of our theater program in our classes, I often pick a student director that proves in our production class. We do a directing unit and proves that they have the potential to lead a cast like that. So I have my assistant director, Kyrie Knudsen, coming up to join us. We have several of our principal actors who were the larger roles in the show. So we have Eamon McLaughlin, who played Pithetaris, one of our lead roles. Followed by Devin Williams, who was Eulpides, another lead role as a freshman, so very good job. Next, Trinity Babino, who was E-Pops, the king of the birds. And no king is complete without his queen, played by Thomas Haggerty. Next, we have kind of our emo goddess, who was Iris. Also, this young lady, we just had a monologue competition at Nassau Community College where students compete against other theatrical programs like Long Island High School of the Arts and Holy Trinity, and our students actually won first and third overall. And Maddie Jimenez won first place, who also played Iris, so come on. Carly Payne, who played Flo, and Magra Chuchuk, say that name 10 times fast. We have next, this is an actual bird, so Lucia Assalone played the blue-footed booby. There you go. And then Tori Mora, who played the dodo bird. And Angelina Pascudo played Batman. So come up, Bat. 2 more birds, and then I have a couple of crew that I want to acknowledge. So we have, actually 3 more birds, I see. So we have Lily Scafani, who played the Kiwi, complete with Australian accent. And then Victor Dreyer, who was our owl, as well as Prometheus. And our last bird, before I just do 3 crew members, would be Bella McDonald, who played the pigeon. Oh, there's only 2. Oh, Audrey's not here. So I just want to acknowledge, this is not just obviously actors at the Playcrafters relies heavily on our students as well to do all the crew work. Each of the departments are headed by a student who do a massive amount of work. I have 2 of them here. This particular production, the makeup work was very integral to the production. So I have one of the makeup heads who's here. The other one I will mention though, but I have Ava Golio, who did our makeup, as well as Audrey Anderson, who's not here. And then no bird is complete without its nest. So the person responsible for rebuilding the mountains and bringing on our nest, JT Arpaio, who is our backstage manager and construction head. So that is that. Oh. Brings you back. Great job. And our Mr. Beck and our high school students are going to want to hang around to see what's coming up, because not only do we have talented students at the high school performing at the theater level, we also have some very talented students over at Woodward Parkway who are unbelievable performers as well. As I like to say, we are extremely proud of our high school students and the accomplishments that they achieve, but we are undoubtedly very excited about the talent that is coming up through the ranks. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize the Woodward Parkway, Willy Wonka Jr. cast and crew. So just a humble moment right now. Whatever challenges might exist in our lives, to watch the children right now bouncing out of their chairs makes everything worth it. The first ever Woodward Parkway Theater Club began this year. Cast members put on a production of Willy Wonka under the direction of Miss Deanna Cupolo, assisted by PTA President Gina Briscoe. The club received an extremely generous donation of $500 from one of our parents to purchase props and cast t-shirts for every student involved. Additional props were beautifully handmade by our talented PTA mom, Francine Hassett. Fourth and fifth grade cast members went through a rigorous rehearsal process and put on
an amazing show for their parents. By popular demand, not one, but 2 encore performances were staged for the students of Woodward Parkway. It is safe to say that all cast members found a golden ticket. I'd now like to welcome up Ms. Cupolo, Ms. Briscoe, Ms. Hassett, if you're in the crowd, as well as our principal, Mr. Classic, and our assistant principal, Dr. DeHaze, to the stage. Dr. Classic will welcome up the students. And sit tight because we will also be treated to a performance at the end.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Patrick Classic. I'm the very, very proud principal of Woodward Parkway and extremely honored to call the following students to the stage. Before I do, though, I want to give a huge round of applause, please, to Ms. Capolo and our amazing PTA volunteers who helped make this happen. Thank you so, so very much. To the board, they're making me say this, but they wanted you to know that they slay. All day. All day. So they made me say that. Boys and girls, we're super proud. We're going to call you up alphabetically. So round of applause, please, for Chloe Alvarez. Zoe Benner. Madison Brinskell. Faith Kaminsky. George Guadagnino. Willy Wonka himself. We have Jason Hartney. Scarlett Hassett. Emily Hughes. Layla Irving. Lena Katakovsky. Emily Kelly. Cora Knudsen. Kendall Koch. Penelope Lopes. Emily Masucci. And last but certainly not least, Angelina Racinos. Boys and girls, watching you perform, the only thing I could say is better is just watching the relationships that grew between all of you. We are so, so proud. To the crowd and everybody at home, we hope that you enjoy their presentation. Thank you.
Great. We'll get a picture first. Mr. Zakian, picture first. Parents, jump up there. It's your turn. Take a picture. Where you going? All right. I'll let it go. Members of the board, I welcome you to take a seat in the audience while we enjoy an amazing performance by the cast from Woodward Parkway's Willy Wonka Jr. We're going to go right into the budget presentation.
Oh, we are? So tell them to get to the middle. I gotta get my page.
Come see it, Jen.
Like this?
Yeah, you want to take one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can give them that to the board members if you don't mind.
We're going right to the,
Go ahead. One more minute, boys and girls. Yes. Yeah, you're going down. Chop, chop. Got him?
someone new. Some bright spark I'll be hiring. But who? Whatever your opinion is about me, the chocolate world could not survive without me. There are no more chocolate ripples, or chocolate ripples, or chocolate ruffles, or chocolate shuffles, chocolate kisses, sweet young misses, soft and creamy, completely dreamy, chocolate ices, chocolate expresses, grow and grow and grow, the day that he retires. No, 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 'cause Willy Wonka just can't go. There'll be no more chocolate ripples, or chocolate ripples, chocolate ruffles, or chocolate truffles, chocolate kisses, sweet young misses, soft and creamy, completely dreamy, chocolate ices, chocolate spices, will grow and grow and grow, the day that you retire. No, 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 the Willy Wonka just can't go. Golden age of chocolate has lasted all these years. The golden age of chocolate that every child reveres. The golden age of chocolate history we must learn somehow. The golden age of chocolate to make life sweet.
As I said, Mr. Beck, you're in good hands. There's lots of talent coming up from the ranks. Congratulations, boys and girls. Thank you so much. Okay, that concludes the Celebrating Excellence portion of our meeting. So, members of our community, boys and girls who are here for that, would just give us a couple more minutes as you guys situate yourselves. We're going to get set for the actual portion of the board meeting. You are all welcome to go home and do your homework or whatever it is that you do at this point of the evening. And you should be doing your homework tonight. Yes. And again, just give us one more minute as we set up for the budget presentation. Where's the mic, Paul? This one? Right there.
Good evening. I would like to thank the board and the community for coming out tonight for our Adopt the Budget presentation. Tonight's presentation is a culmination of several presentations and work that we've been doing over the last month and a half with the Board of Education, with the administration in the school district. Tonight, the board will have the opportunity to adopt the budget for voter approval. This is an important part in the process because this starts the next month and a half leading up to the budget vote. Coming up on April 25th is the next step in the process, which is more related to the BOCES component. BOCES is, since all school districts in Nassau County are part of BOCES, we have to vote for their budget, for their administration budget, in order for BOCES to operate. So that's a quick BOCES budget that every district in Nassau County must do. And then finally, on Tuesday, May 9th, we're going to have the budget hearing, which is 1 week before the budget vote, where the community will have the opportunity to cast their vote on the budget. On Tuesday, May 16th, in the Howard West Gymnasium from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tonight's discussion is a real 30,000-foot view of the budget process and everything that's been going on over the last month and a half. Located on the district's website, you can find copies of the presentations along with recordings of the presentations that were done in public. That's where all the detail will be. And then in the coming days, over the course of the next week, we will have all of the detail, the line-by-line details put onto our website for anyone who's interested in seeing where all the budget codes are and what's going on with the staffing throughout the district. For the purposes of tonight's presentation, we're going to look at the goals that were established by the Board of Education for this year's budget, the brief review of the revenue, the tax cap calculation, appropriations or expenses that are related to next year's budget, and the contingent budget. There's a few referendums that I wanted to make mention that each community member will have an opportunity to vote on in May. And then just a quick summary of where we go from here over the next month and a half with the budget roadshow. So the budget goals for the 23-24 school year, as always, we want to stay within the tax levy limit calc. That's our district's specific levy calculation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. Design programs and services in accordance with the 23-24 Board of Ed goals to close student achievement gaps and improve student wellness, and continue to address increasing needs for student wellness and academic support services and special education needs. These were goals that started with this budget, the 22-23 school year budget, and continue into next year's budget. And as always, we want to maintain our district's strong financial position. Farmingdale has a very strong balance sheet. We get very good audit reports, very clean audit reports, and we also have a very strong rating with financial institutions. This is our district specific levy calculation for Farmingdale. So for the 23-24 school year, there's a 2.3% increase for the tax levy to support the budget. In comparison to the rest of Long Island, we have there's a 2.21 average on Long Island, so we're right there with the rest of Long Island in terms of our levy calculation and our levy limit. We always intentionally keep the budget and the levy limit within our specific allowable levy limit because we get tremendous community support when we do. And in my previous presentations, I don't have it with us today, but in my previous presentations, I have highlighted that we typically get 65-70% approval rating when we do this. So we always make it our intention to always stay within that levy calculation. And while we're talking about that, I just wanted to make sure I took the opportunity to thank the board, thank the community for their support, because it really shows that to us on this side of the table, when we are doing this work, we know where to go with it, we know where we're going to get the support. So we appreciate that from everyone. The proposed revenue budget for next year is, again, 2.3 on the levy. That is not the budget increase. We're going to get to that in a second. What I want to highlight on this page is really two things. State aid. This is 23-24 marks the final year of the foundation aid formula from New York State that's going to be phased in. After that, the budgets will, the state aid should start to level out. But part of Governor Hochul's plan was to make sure that she phased in any districts that were owed foundation aid over 3 years, and 23-24 is the final year for that phase-in. Additionally, there was an adjustment at the state level for the rising costs of inflation, so that was also added into the amount that the districts received, or that Farmingdale received. And lastly, I wanted to talk about fund balances and reserves. We always try to plan to have $5 million worth of what's called appropriated fund balance or planned flexibility into our budgets. And the reason I say that is because it does two things. It serves really two purposes. Number one, we can't account for everything. So when something comes out of the blue that we aren't prepared for, from a budgetary standpoint, if it's a high expense, we know that that money allows us to be able to pay that bill without having to do any, without having to interrupt any of the programs or services within the district. Also, what that allows us to do is it allows us to have enough cash on hand to pay our bills without borrowing. So districts that don't have strong financial positions like ourselves typically have to borrow in the form of RANs or TANs, which is revenue anticipation or tax anticipation notes. So it's basically borrowing money to pay your bills. And nobody wants to have to borrow from a credit card or a loan in order to pay your mortgage. And essentially that's what that is doing. We are not in that position. We have a strong balance sheet. We have a strong financial position in this district, and we're able to maintain that. The post-cost element, or this is the summary of expenses year over year, largely what was driving the budget this year was a couple of things that I want to highlight. Number one, there was a big increase in major medical costs. I went into this in my second presentation to the board and to the public, where I showed a graph of actually the increases that have happened over the years, and the increase that happened in major medical this year was by far the greatest increase in at least 15 years that we've seen. And when we tried to get a reason why those increases were so high, we were told inflation, rising medical costs, and increased frequency of medical expenses and doctor's visits. So hopefully that trend is peaking and we will start to see that reduce, but the word that we got from other people in the industry was that we should expect large increases again. So we had to plan accordingly for that. Also on this page, the other increases that are noted in here are largely a result of inflation driving up expenses, utilities, insurance, cost of goods and materials, equipment. And then lastly, really to support the programs that we talked about of meeting our students where they are, meeting the needs of our special needs students, and the growing, closing the achievement gap is all built into all of those expenses. This is a 6.24% increase year over year for the budget. Worth noting, the CPI for 2022 was 8%. So our spending is in line or below, really, the rising costs of inflation. So we are proud about that. Even with the large increase in the major medical, we were able to keep it below the 8%. The contingent budget, so the community will have the opportunity to vote on the Board of Education's adopted budget in May. Should the budget be defeated in May, there is a second opportunity for the community, if the board chooses, for a second vote of either the same budget or another budget. So it could be a lesser budget or the same budget. If it goes down a second time, school districts are required to automatically go to what is known as a contingent budget. In its simplest form, a contingent budget just means zero increase in the tax levy, which would mean about 3.1 million almost reductions would have to be made to the current budget the way it is. There's a formula that the state gives us that we have to use in order to calculate where those reductions will be taken. It's not just a straight $3 million from one area. You have to look at your program, your instructional, your administration, and your facility components in order to it's known as the three-part budget. In order to figure out, the state gives a calculation that helps you figure out which categories have to be reduced and by how much. Should that be the situation, should we go to a contingent budget? Before that were to happen, we would meet with the Board of Education to discuss the options of where that would go and what that would mean in terms of reductions. So in May, the first proposition is that the community will have to vote on is for the adopting the 23-24 school budget. The second proposition is for the Farmingdale Youth Council budget. This is an annual proposition that the district puts before the community in order to vote for the Farmingdale Youth Council and the summer rec program. I do not have the amounts for that yet. Later on in the budget process, I will have the amount of their budget for the community. And then lastly, the election of the members of the Board of Education. Currently, there are 3 seats that are going to be available this year. It's a little bit more complicated this year than in prior years, so I'm going to explain how this one's going to work. The 2 highest vote getters will be appointed to 3-year terms each, beginning in July. The next highest vote getter will be fulfilling the term of a seat that was vacated this year. So, and that will be a 1-year term. So the third person that were to be elected by the community to take that spot on the Board of Education would be immediately, right after the budget vote almost, placed on the Board of Education as a trustee, and then they will serve for 1 year and then have to run again if they choose to do so in 24-25. So 3 seats, 2 full 3-year terms commencing in July, and the remaining vote would go to a 3rd seat for 1 year. As I mentioned, all of the detail and presentations can be found on the district's website. This is, again, intended to be a summary tonight for the community and for the board. Overall, we are looking at an increase of 6.24% for next year with a 2.3% levy in the school district, in the school district's budget. And after tonight, we will begin our roadshow. There are several opportunities for the community, for staff and employees in the district to get to hear either Paul or myself speak about the budget. We begin on April 18th, which is a very busy day. We're going to be talking to a lot of faculty, and then we will be talking to various community groups, including the Youth Council, the Public Library, the Chamber of Commerce, the PTA. So we will be talking to all of these groups over the course of the next month or so, and informing everybody about the budget so that everybody can come out on May 16th and make an informed decision. And that's really all I had for tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have. Great. Thank you very much. Give us 1 minute to reset.
Alrighty, those were great awards, great celebrations. It's always fantastic to see what our children are doing in this district. They amaze us every month, and we're really proud to afford our district an opportunity to see the amazing things that our kids, our teachers, our staffs do with our kids on a day-to-day basis. It really is an amazing experience for us as board members to sit back and just watch with real awe what our kids are doing. So it was a great tribute. We really appreciate that. And unfortunately, all the kids are gone, but they know how much we think of them and what they do for us. They make our community very proud. Ms. Definiti, we'd like to turn to you now for any old business that we'd like to discuss.
Yeah, we have a couple of items for old business. The first one that I'd like to respond to was a question that came from a community member about wrestling singlets. Mr. Zakian had an opportunity to do a little research and is prepared to report out. Mr. Zakian?
Sure, thank you. A question regarding the continual use of wrestling singlets from year to year was brought up at our March meeting, and that conversation also evolved into a question regarding the reconditioning of athletic team uniforms and equipment. The athletic department typically replaces uniforms in a 4 to 5 year cycle on an as-needed basis. This is due to basic wear and tear on the uniforms, or because in some cases the New York State Interscholastic Rules Committee changes the specs for the number sizes or color inserts, that type of thing. So we have to adapt and get new uniforms for that reason. At the end of the year, the coaches collect the clean uniforms from their athletes. The athletic office takes an inventory, stores uniforms in a secure area for the following season, even if an athlete is an underclassman and planning on playing the same sport again the following year. This is a caution to the potential of a uniform being worn, getting lost, or even damaged during the off-season. So as a district, we do not give our uniforms to our athletes, as it also technically could be considered a gift of public funds. We do send out specific uniforms, like football, for example, because of the abuse they take while playing. Those are typically cleaned and mended as needed to repair any tears that they may have experienced during the season. In some cases, our athletes, especially the seniors, are interested in purchasing their jerseys as keepsakes. If there is great interest, the coaches will typically partner with an outside vendor, something like Downstream, where they will set up a team store and allow the students to buy a replica for themselves and not the actual uniform that they wore during the season. Really, if the athletic department started selling or giving the actual uniforms to an athlete, the district would then have to replace those uniforms. And eventually, you're going to have a team with a number of brand new uniforms, and the rest are older uniforms and used, and sometimes matching uniforms to the proper dye lot and or style could become problematic as well as uniforms evolve. As far as reconditioning, there is a budget line in our athletic budget, and the reconditioning budget line helps us for a number of things. One of them, and most importantly, is the weight room and the refurbishing, reconditioning, and maintenance of all of the aerobic and weight machines that we have in there. They could replace frayed or broken cables, the padding on seating and bench coverings. They fix damaged and or broken weights, gears, pulleys, that type of thing. This code line also supports the required yearly inspection, reconditioning, and certification of precise equipment used by specific sports as required by, it's called NOCSE, but it's the National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment. This is a mandatory each year in order for the helmets, football shoulder pads, body pads, as well as lacrosse shoulder pads and helmets to be used at the high school and middle school level. So all of those have to go out by law to get reapproved each year. So that kind of surmises what we do with our uniforms and the reason why we don't give the singlets to our athletes at the end of a wrestling season. We just don't give out any of our uniforms to repeat. We collect them, and then we will reuse them as the years progress. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Zakian? Good. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Maloney. There was a question with regard to our swimming lifeguard certification plan over at Farmingdale High School and how that's commingling with the complexities of having the aquatic center now here at Farmingdale Howard Middle School. Ms. Maloney.
So if I were to boil that down to one sentence, I would say that students are going to need to allocate 2 periods of their 9-period day in order to avail themselves of the lifeguard training course. So that course traditionally, and it continues to be open to students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Currently, we have 35 students who have indicated their interest in the course. I spoke with our Director of Physical Education and the team at the high school who are currently building the schedule, and they are working to find the best 2-period blocks. So by that I mean, in all probability, either periods 1 and 2 or periods 8 and 9, where the most students can get the course. That also has to factor in transportation from the high school over to the aquatic center, but they are working diligently. And one of the things that I can attest to is that if a student is not able to fit it in his or her or their schedule, that we will know exactly what got in the way, because we understand how important the course is.
And just to add to that, we're also investigating other opportunities to be able to provide that same kind of a program during different breaks that we have during the school year. So there's more to come as far as providing even additional opportunities for students to take advantage of the aquatic center here at Howard Middle School. Yeah.
I'd like to ask, Maureen, I'd like to ask you a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
You said 10, 11th, and 12th grade.
Yes.
Is there a particular age you can start or up
That's a
till?
great question. Thank you, Kathy. Traditionally, students need to have reached their 15th birthday by May 1st. So you have an amazing memory. Yes.
And lastly, I want to turn it over to Dr. Olson. There was a question asked about professional development for our staff members as part of the 23-24 school year, and how it connects to the budget that is being recommended for the Board of Education this evening, and ultimately that will be put in front of the community for a vote in May. Dr. Olson?
A question regarding teacher professional development and staff course selection was brought up at the last budget meeting. The Office of Curriculum Instruction budgets support not only teacher professional development, but professional development for our administrators, our clerical staff, our teacher aides, our monitors, and our nurses. By the end of this school year, the professional development costing from the conference code will range from $105,000 to $115,000. As the district has been using many of our grants to support the professional development through the last few years, and now that we are not on the list and no longer are designated, we have budgeted next year's budget for $150,000 in order to continue to support the Board of Ed goals and district initiatives. These funds will support the district in its implementation of the new classroom math resources in our elementary schools, and the more lab supports at the secondary levels for the 23-24 school year. Additionally, we have planned more iReady and data protocol conferences to support teacher teams in addressing student needs in both reading and math. As for the teacher course selection and approval question, all the graduate and in-service classes that are approved for educational advancement are approved through the Office of Curriculum Instruction. The approved courses are content related to the department, curriculum, or the course of study being taught by the staff member.
Any questions? Thank you all for the information, for the clarifications. We appreciate that. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting for our first public participation session. Again, please be sure to clearly state your name when you approach the microphone. As a reminder, this session will be limited to 30 minutes, with each individual having 3 minutes in which to ask their questions or make their statements. If we do not get to all of the speakers during the first 30 minutes, there will be an opportunity at our second public participation session. And the meeting is now open.
Hi, everyone. My name's Joe Stout from 130 Hillside Road in Farmingdale Village. It's nice to see everyone again. It's been a while since I attended one of these, since before the pandemic, actually, so it's nice to see everyone's face. I had a quick question. I appreciate the budget presentation. My question actually isn't budget related tonight. I live up by Northside Elementary School. I see that the playground is being renovated. It looks great, how it's coming along so far. My question is regarding the school grounds. I've noticed, I have my nieces and nephews come and visit me from time to time, and the last couple of times they've been here, the school grounds, even at times that school's not in session, have been completely sealed off. I don't know if that's a policy in place or if that's just related to the ongoing construction of the playground itself, but even the fields themselves seem to always be, all the gates are sealed and chained, and I was just curious if there is public access at times when school's not in session to the fields at Northside at least, and then obviously once the construction's done of the playground itself.
That's a great question, Mr. Stout. Thank you for coming. Nice to see you again. So yeah, our facilities are open to the community during the after hours. We'll look into whether or not the reason for the closures was because of securing the area because of the construction. If that's the case, then that would be appropriate. If not, then it could be an oversight. I take responsibility for that, and we'll make sure that those facilities are open. We do not only during school hours, but even in the after hours, on weekends, during holidays. We like to keep our facilities open so that our students have the ability to use our playgrounds and our fields. They're not just for, during actual school hours or even in the hours immediately following. They are for, from literally from dawn until dusk is the way in which we've built ourselves. So they should be open, and the only reason they wouldn't be would be because of the fact that we're securing it. But we'll check just to make sure that that is in full force and effect, because we want you and whomever you have over to be able to use those facilities.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Mike Sawalski, 11 Wallen Court. It was brought up about the lifeguard program for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. The classes are going to be the first or second period or the end of the day. As far as that class goes, I believe you have to have swimming at some point before that to take that class in either 9th or 10th grade. Is that correct?
Okay. Hi, Mr. Swelsky. I just
Hi.
wanted to make sure that I could answer you. Yes, in the curriculum guide, it does say that. The other piece that's super important is that in addition to that, there is also a test that students have to undertake. Mr. Zakian probably knows more about that than I, but I remember in my previous position in charge of guidance, that was something that we always stressed to students, the importance that they do actually have to pass a test. Mr. Zakian, did you have anything to add to that?
I'm sorry, I can't give you the specifics because I don't know. I don't want to provide you with false information regarding that. There was, in the past, our freshman class typically had their Fit for Life unit, and swimming was always offered in that unit for the children to go. You'd be amazed at how many people become allergic to chlorine in the months of November, December, and January and don't go in the pool. But as far as the requirement to have swimming, I can't answer that. They did have to pass a test to show their swimming proficiency before they could take the lifeguard test. That I can tell you that they did, which is what we will be doing now. Because at this point, with the pool being here, we will not be providing that freshman, fitness class in the pool moving forward. So as long as they could pass the test for swimming, they'll be able to be in the lifeguard test class
So-
itself.
The test that they're giving for that is held where?
Typically at our pool.
At the high school?
Yeah.
Even
Or
though we
next
have-
year it'll be here, wherever the pool is available.
So if they're in 9th grade, they have to take the test at the high school to get into the program for lifeguard for 10th, 11th, or 12th?
Yeah, that's typically how it's done, yes. I'll follow up with you,
If
and
you
I'll do
could.
that. Again, if you need the information more, succinctly because of scheduling purposes and information, just call me tomorrow, and I'll have the conversation with you to try to find the information out as quickly as possible. Our next meeting isn't until May, so I don't want to delay that information. If you need it more quickly,
It was
let me
more
know.
geared towards the fact that if they had to, if there was anything worked out to get them so they don't have to swim in the high school pool when we have the beautiful aquatic center at Howard, to get them
They can
from the
bring them
high
over here
school
to,
to
yeah, I
take
don't
the
know
class
where
there instead of
they will
taking
do
it.
the actual testing, but
Okay.
I could find out about that. But
All right,
I would
thank
have
you.
to assume eventually it will all be here anyway.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
I just want to just jump in one more, just to let everybody know, the aquatic center, the pool, I should call it the pool at Farmingdale High School is set to come down. We have the demolition permit in place in order to be able to actually remove the pool. We'll be providing more information as to when that's going to happen. It's going to take the state a little bit of time to approve the actual permit through the State Education Department. It is out there to have it taken down. So to answer your question, the lifeguard certification plan and program that we have will entirely happen through our brand-new pool at Howard Middle School in some sense or another, because the high school pool will not be there probably at some point during the upcoming school year. We are hopeful that we are able to get it done in time for the summer. In case that doesn't happen, we're going to have a plan in place probably to take it down shortly thereafter. So one way or another, my answer to your question is we will be using the Howard pool. Mr. Zakian will talk to you about how we're going to go ahead and navigate that as we enter next year.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you all for your concerns. Good questions, gentlemen. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes for January 12, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of January 12th, 2023.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Call for a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes for February 1, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of February 1st, 2023.
All in favor?
Aye.
Call for a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes for March 2, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 2nd, 2023.
All in favor? Aye. Call for motion to approve the Board of Education minutes for March 8, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of March 8th, 2023.
All in favor?
Aye.
Call for motion to approve the Board of Education minutes for March 13, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 13th, 2023.
All in favor? Aye. Call for motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of March 15, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 15th, 2023.
All in favor? Call for motion to approve the Board of Education minutes for March 22, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 22nd, 2023.
All in favor?
Aye.
It was a busy month. Okay. Mrs. Rogers, did the board receive any correspondence this month?
Mr. Morales, the Board of Ed received a letter regarding the residents' use of the Aquatic Center. There were a series of emails with specific questions related to the budget presentations, including the value of the step increases, upgrades to academics, and enrollment growth in special education delivery. Finally, there was an email regarding a lunch recess issue at Albany Avenue schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Rogers. Does the board have any committee reports?
I'm just going to go, hi, I'm jumping in over everybody because they're all looking that way. So we all had a fun night participating at the Woodward Parkway pasta night, so we thank you for your invitation. So many families, they had a wonderful turnout. So again, we really do appreciate, again, we do enjoy being with the kids and being with the community and getting to also do the fun stuff. So again, thank you for that invite, and it was a very good night, so thank you.
I'm good? Okay. I'll start by just kind of circling back to something Mr. Devendini mentioned earlier in the meeting, the Special Olympics. I know it's not a committee report, but I find, given the opportunity, I encourage you guys to speak to your kids who are of age to come and volunteer, you as parents, community members. If there's nothing more that these individuals, these athletes want, it's to have the support of everybody cheering them on. Doing it last year, it is such a feel-good day. So much pride coming out of every individual, whether they had an athlete participating in it or just being on the sidelines cheering them on. It's a part of humanity that really makes me tick, and it was absolutely beautiful. So I really do encourage to gather your neighbors, your friends, your family, just come on down and cheer these athletes on, because they really, really need the encouragement. As far as my committees, I had the opportunity of attending, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, SEPTA presented a resource fair at Northside, extremely well attended. Everything from advocates to recreational places to bring your children after school and on weekends, safe places for them to, kids who have disabilities tend to struggle, and sometimes it's hard as parents to be around that. You look at other children and you just kind of want to crawl out backwards, but it was well done. I really do commend those that were involved, the president of SEPTA, Miss Allison Palazzo. They always do a fine job, so I just wanted to make mention of that. And then last week, Ralph Morales and myself attended also for special education, the OPWDD, which, if you don't know, is the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. There was a woman who basically explained, if you don't know what it is, it's outside resources outside of the school ability, but there's a lot to offer children and adults. And so they went through the process of the application, what to expect, what to do, and so on. It was extremely, very informative. They had a decent crowd. I would have liked to have seen more people come because I think there's a lot of resources and a lot of stuff to learn there, but it's a start. So I thank our SEPTA again for really, going above and beyond and making sure that our parents are informed so that our students can really have all the resources that they need. Thank you.
So as for Farmingdale Youth Council, the Farmingdale Youth Council Budget Committee have been working on budgets diligently for the summer, winter, and member organization programs, and we'll get the information to the school district soon. As Mike Mortisi has said, that Proposition 2 would be the Youth Council appropriation and to approve the Youth Council's budget and tax levy for the 2023-24 tax year. So we appreciate support of our community. Thank you.
I have the privilege of sitting on the curriculum committee as well as the wellness committee. And you saw from the presentation, the budget presentation, that a goal for next year is to design programs and services in accordance with goals to close student achievement gaps and improve student wellness. And I just want to share with the community that it was so impressive to me to sit on the curriculum committee and see all of the teachers and administrators who dedicate so much of their time outside of being in the classroom, really working hard to build the curriculum that's going to close those achievement gaps. Their passion, the innovation, and the collaboration was just outstanding. And then also participating on the wellness committee, which is comprised of teachers, different stakeholders in the community, so teachers, administrators, and parents. And there's so many great things that they have planned to really improve the wellness for our children. And so I just want the community to know there are a lot of things that we have to look forward to coming into this next year.
Thank you guys for those reports. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of items 1A through P, 2A through F, and 3A through D be approved as a whole with action recorded separately.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now I think we have to take a moment to recognize some very special people in the audience, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Defendini.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. That happened very quickly, and you might not have noticed what it is that just happened, but your appointments were just approved by the Board of Education. I'd like to welcome two different people who are in the audience this evening to the Farmingdale family. First, Valerie Salvamini is joining us as a physical education teacher here at Farmingdale Schools. Congratulations to Valerie. And we have another appointment, obviously with the retirement of Mr. Zakian and the restructuring here with Dr. Thompson moving into the role of assistant to the superintendent for administration. It opened up the HR position, and after an exhaustive search that was open not only internally but also externally, we have multiple layers to the process: screening, the paper, having an opportunity to have the cabinet vet some of the candidates, going through a committee round with various stakeholders from the community, having an opportunity to spend time myself with the candidates in a more casual environment, and then finally meeting the Board of Education last night. We are very proud tonight to recommend a candidate who comes to us from Copeg Schools. I had a chance to meet Michael Ferretti for the first time when he was a student teacher here in Farmingdale in 2006. when I was the Dean of Students before transitioning into the role of School Business Administrator that fall. I had a chance to meet him. One of the things that I was left with was the unbelievable impact that he had on the school as a student teacher. I know that that sounds possibly inconsequential or not as dramatic as you might think, but they actually took the time to hold a party for him at the end of the year because the kind of connection that he had made with his teacher at the time, as well as his students. Since that time, he left us. He has become an English teacher at Copeg, moved up through the ranks to become the chairperson of the English department, assistant principal of Copeg Schools from July 2013 to 2019, became an adjunct professor over at Malloy University from 2015 to present, summer school principal, Copeg, July 2011 to 2013, and finishing up his career at Copeg as the Director of Strategic Planning and Safety and School Climate. He is a good man. We talk about that often, how important it is to be good people and to have the right value systems, the right morals, the right ethics. What I can say through the interview process is they were never compromised a single point in time. He's joined by his family, his wife and his two beautiful children, who also came through the Farmingdale School District, so he knows what it's like to be a Daler. Very proud to welcome Michael Ferretti to the Farmingdale family. He'll be starting with us July 1st. Congratulations. Upon the board's appointment, the formal notification will go out to the entire family tomorrow to let everybody know and to welcome Mike to the family. Congratulations again, Mike. And nice to see the family again.
Thank you, Mr. Defendini. Welcome to the family, to the both of you. And apparently Mr. Ferretti was a world-class butcher back in the day, believe it or not, who knows a thing or two about some good prosciutto. So we expect some good information from you, Mr. Ferretti. Congratulations to you both. May I have a motion now to adopt the 2023-2024 school budget for voter approval?
I make a motion that the Farmingdale Union Free School District Board of Education adopt the proposed school budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 in the amount of $194,297,069, subject to voter approval.
Mr. Motisi?
Thank you, Mr. Morales. This discussion and action item relates to the 23-24 budget for the board's vote to adopt it for the May budget vote.
Thank you. Do any of the board members have any questions before we vote? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the New York State Property Tax Report Card?
I make a motion that the Farmingdale Union Free School District Board of Education approve the New York State Property Tax Report Card for the 2023-2024 school year in accordance with Education Law Section 17167.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to open our meeting for our second public participation session. Again, please state your name clearly when you approach the microphone. Again, as a reminder, this public participation session will be limited to 30 minutes, and each individual speaker will have 3 minutes within which to ask their questions or make their comments. The district clerk will hold the timer for us, and the microphone is open for anyone that would like to come up to speak.
Mike Sawalski, 11 Wallen Court. This is along the lines of security at the schools. About 2 weeks ago, I had to bring something up to the high school for my son. He forgot it at home. It happened to be a cold day, so I was dressed for the weather. I get to the school, I buzz the front doorbell, I get let right into the vestibule. Not a second later, I'm let into the main hallway of the school. It wasn't one of the regular security guards that I know that was behind the desk or any of the administrators that I know that would know who I am. At this point, I had access to that whole school. In light of what's going on recently, real close to home in Lindenhurst, we need to tighten that up. I'm not a gun nut. I'm not pro-gun, anti-gun, if you want them or not. We need to start protecting our kids better. I believe this is time to start introducing armed security guards to our schools. Smithtown just adopted a resolution to have armed security guards. There's people out there that are looking to harm children, and they know schools are a place to attack because they know they can get in and cause damage. They know that no one is there that's armed that can protect everybody in there. I think we should get on board with that. I appreciate it if you could look into that and let me know your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sawalski, for that statement. And we will obviously be looking into all aspects of security in our schools. I know it goes without saying, we all understand this. There's nothing more important than the safety of our kids. So your points are very well taken with respect to your own experience. We will obviously look into that as well. But thank you. Would
Mr.
anyone else?
Morales, could I respond back to Mr. Sawalski?
Sure.
I have a response regarding the lifeguarding for you. Okay? So, the age is now 15 years old as of May 1st by Nassau County. Usually, the physical education teacher will allow members of the varsity swim team or the swim team, as well as students who previously took a lifeguarding class, admitted as they go. If they haven't been in one of those two categories, then students are tested the first week, and if they don't pass the test, they're placed into a traditional 10 through 12 physical education class. If they do pass, they continue on in the lifeguarding sequence. And that, as Mr. Devendini pointed out, will be over here using the new facility from this point forward, starting in September. Thank you. Okay. If you could hang around, I'd like to just ask you about your experience at the high school when we're done with this, please. Absolutely. Thank you.
And
Thank
if I
you,
might,
Mr.
just
Zakin.
one more add to that, because,
Yep.
we don't want to be in a place where students are not led into the program for one reason or another. If for whatever the reason the children are struggling to get through that program, they could certainly reach out at present to Mr. Zakian. We'll work with students. We have access to the facility now through Open Swim and other types of programs where we can get kids ready and provide opportunities for them to swim, to prepare themselves to be able to gain entry into the actual program. We want to make sure that no matter what, we're providing every opportunity for kids to be able to get in. And I say that for two reasons. One, it's a great opportunity. It gets kids into the retirement system nice and early in their careers. And even more importantly, there is a dire need for lifeguards right now and children to be able to get through the lifeguard certification program. It's why the age limit was dropped to 15 to get more students into the actual program. We want to make sure that we are facilitating that, giving our kids that opportunity and giving the town, the county, and anyone else that might need the state the lifeguards that they need to keep beaches and those open waters open.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come to the mic?
Evening. Parsa Karimi, address on file. So in response to the board's response to Mrs. Sawalski, is that to say that given the fact that you have a month to discuss this in executive session, will you have an answer for the community as to what your thoughts are with regards to armed security outside the school, like Massapequa, who's just south of us, has armed security? Can we expect that you guys can discuss that in private sessions and let us know by the next board meeting in May what your decision is as to whether you'll allow it or not?
Mr. Creamy, I can tell you that we've already had these discussions in exec session. This isn't something that's just coming up for the first time. In terms of a time frame, it's something that we will continue to discuss. I don't want to necessarily promise you without having the opportunity to talk to my fellow board members and central administration as to whether we'll have a definitive stance in May, but I can tell you that it is an ongoing discussion that we've been considering because of what's been going on lately and because of the environment, quite frankly, today.
So you're going to just, we'll keep discussing. That's the, so
Not
there'll be a
on it
resolution
tonight.
by next month. Because it's probably since last year you guys have been discussing. We're going to keep discussing with no answer as to whether you will or will not. At least you can give the community an answer and say, no, we're going to go in this direction.
No, that's not what I said. What I said was it's something that we have been discussing, and it would be irresponsible for me to say definitively without having an opportunity to obviously consult with my fellow board members.
Well, that's what I mean. You have a month. So I'm sure you can have a conversation over the course of a month and decide. Since you've had already several conversations to lead you to this point, I'm sure you can finish the discussion and come to an answer for us.
We're going to go in
I think it's
circles. I mean, it's
reasonable,
something that it's a very important topic. So let me
Sure.
establish that, and it's something that we've all been discussing. In fact, it was discussed today. So if you want me to give you a guarantee, again, it would be impossible for me to do that. It is something that we want to come to closure on. If we can come to closure and provide a statement by May, we will absolutely do that. It's not something where, you know, a year from now, we're going to be saying the same thing, for sure. It's something that needs an immediate response and some really good discussion and good thinking, and that's what we're doing. So it's not going to be something that is going to take months and months, is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to come to the mic? Okay. Thank you all for your comments and your concerns and your statements. At this time, I call for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.